Next up on the 31 Days of Halloween movies, we're going to be talking about an iconic 1980s film that I think everyone watches during the Halloween season, and that is Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice is directed by Tim Burton, and it stars Michael Keaton, Alec Baldwin, and Geena Davis. This is definitely an essential for the Halloween season, as if you've never seen this movie before, you need to go out of your way and watch this movie, because this movie is truly iconic. It's hilarious, it's goofy, it's silly, and it's just so enjoyable that it just gives you a really good time watching a movie taken out of the way of life and just seeing something really creative, bold, expressive, and exciting to watch. Let's talk about why this movie works so well, and the biggest aspect is Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice. Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice is absolutely hysterical in this movie. His voice, his mannerism, his acting is just actually hilarious. I love the fact that he's just so weird and he's just so goofy and he's just kind of a jerk, but you just like him so much because he is so funny, has some incredible lines. He's in the movie for only 17 minutes. That is really insane. The movie clocks in around 92 minutes, so he's actually in the movie for about 18% of the entire film. Putting that in perspective, knowing this movie is about Beetlejuice, he's on the cover, all on the marketing, it's just crazy to think that in that amount of screen time, he steals every scene he's in. Another amazing aspect of this movie is the visual effects. You can't watch this movie and not notice the really goofy, bad B-movie effects that Tim Burton was actually going for. The way he wanted to make this movie was a movie that he watched when he was growing up that had really bad special effects, bad blue screen, had really weird makeup and weird prosthetic choices. And so that's why a lot of this movie doesn't really look all that good. He didn't want it to look good really in the slightest. And so that's why I think this movie really does hold up, because it looks so bad. And it's only going to get worse as it goes on. And watching this movie on the 4K that I picked up that came out in October, which is an excellent 4K release that you guys gotta pick up, it really showed that all those scenes that had the visual effects really did not age at all, and they probably never aged to begin with. And so that's what really adds to the visual flair and the theme and the campy style of the whole movie. It fits so perfectly together. The writing is very good in this movie, as a lot of the jokes, if not most of the jokes, are really funny in this movie. The story is really silly and stupid and goofy about these two people who die, and they want to take over this house that these new people have come into, and they're ruining the house by changing the aesthetic of it, changing the furniture, and they're just very pretentious, snobby people. It is really stupid, let's be honest, but it's so creative in the execution of how it's done and how it's being presented to us, with some really great scenes of the dinner scene when they're all dancing there. It is really hilarious and wicked creative. Music by Danny Elfman does not disappoint at all. He is truly one of my favorite composers, as he makes an incredible theme that is so perfectly placed in the intro credits of this movie, setting up what kind of film this is going to be. This movie, the score kind of has this amusement park ride feel to it that's very bumpy. It feels like it's all over the place. It feels exciting with tons of energy, and it really sets up the excitement that you're going to have going to this movie. I love just sitting there, listening to the music, watching the credits, and just knowing what kind of fun I'm going to have going into this movie. The creative fun production is really, really good in this movie. I love the afterlife scenes when they're just in this weird world that's pretty much a complex mediocrity, and it really works just like our system, but much different. There's a lot of cool, creepy and dark and beat up things that are in this afterlife, especially with the caseworker. Really creative and great stuff. I love the little miniature town that they get sucked into, and I love how the grass is all rubbery and you can tell it looks fake, even though that the camera focuses in on them in there and it's like the real world. There's so many great and creative ways that they make some of these really cool buildings and structures in the movie that really add to the style and theme of this movie. Makeup and costume design is awesome. I mean, just look at Beetlejuice. He looks amazing. I love his outfits. I love his disgusting makeup that he has on. And I love all the other creatures and people that we see that really are so creative, and the way that you die is the way that you look. And so there's some really creative choices of how they made these people look, with some really amazing makeup and costume design to add it all together, which made it all the more funny, because every time I'm like, wow, that's impressive looking, it's still hilarious to look at. This movie actually gained an Academy nomination for it, and I think it's well deserved for this movie. I think we're going to go for negatives here. As much as this movie is hilarious, I feel like some of the jokes don't always work for me. It's just a few here and there, and it could be a little nitpicky, but there's a couple enough in here where it did give me a little bit of criticism that I just wasn't totally invested in the jokes. I also feel there's a lack of an emotional drama in this film that they try to wrap up later into this movie in the end, but overall I just didn't feel it at any point in this movie. Sure, this is a straight up fantasy comedy movie, but I feel as though that the emotional drama could have worked so much better, and I could have been more emotionally wrapped into this movie, especially when there's some bad, crazy things that are happening. Because in the end, you're supposed to feel this more genuine love and care for them. But I think it could have been really done much better if we had more of those scenes to break up the tension of comedy that is really heavily handed in this movie. Sure that the theme and the tone of this movie is very goofy, it's silly. I mean, just like everything I mentioned, I just wish that more of the emotional aspects could have been a little bit of a turn in tone, and I think if it was done properly with the really good writing that it had, I think it would have worked so good in this movie. But overall, this is a really silly, goofy, dumb, simple movie that everyone enjoys, and doesn't do anything too crazy, doesn't have really anything that's going to say, but it just works so effectively of what it is, and I think that's all I could ever want for this movie. I think it has really great performances, really goofy and silly special effects, with hilarious writing that I would love to watch every year for Halloween. It's not a movie that I grew up with, as I just started watching it last year, but it's a movie that I will continue to watch every year. I'm gonna give this movie a 7 out of 10. Let me know, have you guys seen Beetlejuice? Do you guys really want a sequel? You probably do. That was a dumb question. Let me know down below. And as always, please like and share the video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. It means the world to me. You guys are liking my videos. Subscribe to my channel. You guys are the best. As always, see you guys in the next video.